quick video on deer calls. Same thing with deer sense. I have the same opinion. I try to make as little sound as possible. If you divide those two sets of calls, vocal versus other sounds, for the other sounds I have a rattling bag. I don't have a set of antlers. The reason why is because it fits better in my bag. To be honest with you, I've rattled ever since I was 17 years old with the set of antlers, the 6-point buck that I shot, my first deer. And to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever rattled up a deer. So I don't know if it's because of lack of deer, I'm doing it wrong, but I've watched countless videos, I've done it exactly the way you've done. I've never rattled a deer in. Having said that, I've been highly successful with deer calls. Now, I use deer calls as little as possible. My percentages are greater than most people, only because I kind of wait for the best possible time to use them. And I mean the best possible time. And it doesn't mean when I see the deer either. I just kind of anticipate what's the woods doing. Is they're picking up scrapes and rubs? Is things really happening? Now that I have kind of a guide on when the rut's happening, I'll use my call when I can. Now, example, for doe calls, now again, I'm not a trophy hunter, I'm a meat hunter, so I'll use a doe bleat early in the season to bring a doe in if I have a doe permit. And then later I'll use just a regular deer grunt. Now, another little tip and trick is I noticed that the older calls, the first calls I've purchased, actually work better than the newer calls that I purchased. I don't know why. I don't understand why they're trying to make things better and it actually makes it worse. It's so dramatic, in my opinion, that I want to throw that out there. The first deer call I have, let me just show it to you. I have it right here. As you can tell, it's a simple, almost looks like a duck call with a tube on it. I've seen more deer using this than anything. I've actually, when I was younger, I lost more deer calls than I actually have today. But I still have a few. So I have this one was my first deer call. I bought this probably 2 or 3 years after, which works really good. This is definitely not as good as this, for whatever reason. They make similar tones, but for some reason it works better. So let me try one. This thing, unbelievably good. You can actually make a deeper grunt by covering it. So you can change it too. It's adjustable, or this one's adjustable. But either way, these two things work really, really, really well. Similar calls, and then we have a brand new one that I bought like 2 years ago. This is a deer bleat and ball. It's totally different than what I'm used to, and I haven't done anything with this, to be honest with you. It's more for backup. So I have this thing that's usually around my neck. I generally have this in my backpack, but I always go for this for some reason. Very good piece. So I don't have any good news for you if you don't have an older one, but that could be just me. It could be the luck of the draw. It could be percentages. My opinion could be skewed by all sorts of things about, how I used it, when I used it, and so forth. So it might be just an emotional thing. I don't have any factual information, but I know that this thing still produces. And I tend to, even if I'm using both, this one will attract something. I've used 2 types of calls before, and when I go to this, doing the same thing, this thing works for whatever reason. So I wanted to throw that out there. But again, when you're hunting in the woods and there's a whole bunch of people in the woods, deer calls are probably not going to work. Let's be honest here. If they know they're being hunted and they're stealthing around, your deer calls are going to do nothing except for alert them to your location. So think about that when you're hunting. If you're buying your first deer call, think about what you're buying for deer call. Do your homework first and then buy the right one. Thanks for watching.
Toes crunching on the forest floor, my heart rate jumps even more. Looking for the buck to fill my tag, straight out of a hunting bag. Drop time 14, making his way down. It's time for his last showdown. Breathe in, breathe out, hold it, fire away. God bless the hunter, the hunter I am. God bless the